Will it work?
We live?
Doesn't show us as live yet. There we go. Now we're live.
Oh, we need a breakfast. That's why.
I was just thinking, Pirate, you're not being hit by these fires, are you?
We're live now, for the record.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
No, two people are not on fire.
Frickin' Trogdor.
Burninating all the peasants.
Yep.
Nah, he's not burninating peasants this time.
Yeah, he's gone for a higher class, unfortunately.
He's going for the actors this time. Yeah, that's woof.
And JPL employees.
And JPL, wow. Yeah.
No, but it's especially the mountainous areas that can be in trouble, because if the wind blows the wrong way due to the slope, it can just fly up the entire mountainside pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the big problem is we've got winds of up to like 70, 80 miles an hour right now. That's
I've heard 90 to 100 in some areas.
I mean, the individual gusts have been like crazy too. So it's been really windy.
I mean, we've been getting some wind down here too. It's been gusty down here, not nearly to that degree, but I mean, we don't have to worry about the fires. Thankfully, there's nothing down here to burn. But
There is the one benefit of desert.
well,
Nothing can
California's, even LA's desert.
Yeah.
Okay, uninhabited desert where humans haven't vegetated it.
Well, I mean, we are irrigated. It's one of the reasons that we're a thing. But yeah, it's mostly surrounded by dunes and arid land. So,
Sandworms.
well, we don't go out there.
Yeah, it's
No Shai-Halud.
yeah.
They'll get you in Glamis. That's why you got to stay on your ATVs the whole time you outrun them.
And walk without rhythm.
So you don't attract the worm.
I still can't believe that frickin' oh my gosh, why am I
Fat
blanking
Boy
on his
Slim.
name? Yeah, Fat Boy Slim. That Christopher Walken ended up in the Dune films. It's just like, I'm sorry, what?
I watched the Dune films, and now I'm trying to remember what his role was.
He was the Emperor.
He's the emperor.
Right,
you talking
right.
the new one or the old one?
The new one.
Okay.
He's the one with the sting in it.
Yeah. I still haven't watched it because I've been telling myself I need to finish the book before I watch any of them.
I read all the Dune books, but it was many years ago.
I'm gonna say, like, the books are honestly kind of a slog.
Yeah, the guy was very similar to my complaints about Tolkien. It's like, yeah, but I give the guy, a lot of leeway because he's busy inventing a genre that didn't exist before.
I enjoyed them for what they were, but once you got past the original trilogy, they started to get weird, especially when you get into his son's books. They just...
I was gonna say, like, beyond that, that's not even the original dude, right?
Well, I mean, it's his son compiling his dad's notes. So it's stuff his dad wrote, but it's not a book his dad wrote exactly.
Oh, man.
What?
My keyboard's busted. My S key broke, and we glued it back together, but now it doesn't fit right in the well, so it keeps popping loose or getting jammed.
Well, like the keycap broke somehow?
Yeah, the keycap broke. The fixture that holds it onto the switch fell apart. I guess I pressed my keys a little too hard.
I was gonna say, like, what do you do to this keyboard?
Well, I mean, that's backspacing a lot while you're...
You're a retreater.
Never retreat. WM1 forever.
Okay.
WM1 pyros, yes.
Explain myself. Gosh, jeez.
Hush, we're putting words in your mouth for you.
No.
I thought you played Pyro Breakfast. What the heck?
Only towards the latter half. I didn't touch Pyro for the longest time. It wasn't until I met Barbecue that he inspired
Barbecue,
me to
destroyer
learn
of my normalized stats.
to learn the
terrible
art of Pyro.
doctor.
It's Agent Doctor the Terrible Barbecue 006 PhD.
That is quite the name.
You should, because it was the Terrible Barbecue. He'd always put it in. Then he became an agent, so he was Agent the Terrible Barbecue with his number. And then when he got his PhD, he added Doctor Agent the Terrible Barbecue.
But
PhD.
this is the only keyboard I've had this happen. My other keyboards, they started to double type, which got really annoying. So I went with a different brand, and now the keys don't.
Do you always go mechanical?
Yes.
Clackety clack.
Unless you get the brown
Gotta have the
switches.
sounds.
Brown or white switches, they're the quiet ones.
All right. Well, it is now 8:30. I will get us started. In my early days of college, I just had sort of a flip phone, just whatever. And for music, one Christmas, my parents got me an iPod Nano. And there wasn't much in the way of games on it, but there was one called Vortex, which was sort of like if Bricks was pseudo 3D. It was designed around the circular, I don't know, control wheel, whatever. It worked pretty well for what they were doing. It's not that engaging, but it was there. And sometimes I just needed to kill time, and that's all I had. This is episode 41 of I Think We Overleveled. We're talking about the games we played because what else were you going to play? How's it going, gang?
Doing well.
Doing all right.
Hey,
I'm alive.
So these games tend to fall in a lot of categories, but I think the usual one is you don't have a lot in the way of options. So let's start with Lizzie, because it's been a while since we had a Lizzie-sode. What did you bring to the table?
Where to go from here? I know. Well, if we're talking like handhelds and what you had on hand, I'm gonna jump us over to calculator games.
Ooh.
Yes.
Which one?
Let me get the video going real quick.
Yeah, TI-83, TI-84 era.
Oh yeah. TI-83 at school, where you just try to play it off that you're doing homework or paying attention, and trying to learn with your calculator.
Actually, we had 89s. It was the only thing that of advanced
Block
tech-
Dude! I remember Block Dude!
This is the one that I had, yes.
oh yeah, Block Dude. I do. Yes.
So in high school, you get a graphing calculator. I had the 84, and I don't even remember who it was. Somebody's like, oh yeah, you can get games on it. I was like, wait, what? This was the game I was able to get on mine. And I remember so many times in class, like the teacher describing something to the class, and I'm like, well, I already understand this. So I just open up my calculator and start playing a game, because why not? I already understand the concept. I don't need to be taught. I've already done the work or whatever, And I enjoy puzzles, so it worked out quite well for me.
I know, I understand, I get the concept. It's a Hercules reference.
I'm not sure if I have
Just
Block Dude. Wait, so
Watching this video, yeah.
So wait, you were allowed to use your 89 in high school breakfast?
Yeah, we had 89s.
Yeah, 89s were off limits for me. I didn't get an
They
89
were-
until college.
They were allowed in calculus. That was the only class that would let you use them at our school.
Yeah, because the 89 could do the algebra for you. So
Do the algebra, yes. It was so good.
Our teacher was insistent that we learn how to do things without it, but he would allow us. He did issue one to each student.
Wait, you guys
Issued?
You didn't issued. You
Man.
didn't. Jeez.
We had to buy it ourselves.
Yeah, we had to go drop a hundo 550 or whatever the dang things
No,
cost.
he had one for every. But honestly, Mr. Briggs was the best teacher that school had to offer, bar none.
Yeah. Oh man.
Did you turn them? Were they the classroom set? I guess you didn't keep them, or how did that work?
Yeah, we didn't keep them. We returned them.
Yeah. Okay. That's I see how that works.
So for me, I had the 83.
Yeah, we apparently didn't go to the fancy schools of breakfast.
Yeah.
Look, that was the most technological thing we had at that high school. The other most
El
technological
Centro was the nexus of technological education.
Look, it's just known for it.
The
El
most
Centro.
technologically advanced class we had was intro to typing. Okay, I got to university, and every student around me is like, "Oh, CAD, yeah, we had that in high school." I'm like, "What?"
So
we had nothing of the sort.
You guys had a mouse?
yeah.
Pretty much.
All I had was a keyboard.
Well, yeah.
In a cave
in my
with
junior high.
scraps.
We're getting off topic.
Broken S key.
Yeah. But like,
Welcome to the pre-show.
like we had a computer class in my junior high, and I'm like, yeah, computers, I'm so excited. And the teacher starts by holding up a mouse and saying, "This is a mouse," and clicks it. That is called a click. And I'm like, no. But in high school, on my 83, the game I played the most was Z Tetris.
Yeah, the Z games. There was a whole series of them.
How's that different than normal Tetris?
It's
Z.
playable. It's playable on a TI-83. That's what.
It's more epic because it's Z.
Yeah.
So there was a whole shell like that had the games that was just called Z, and so like all the games often had like a Z prefix.
And so this game is the one that I spent by far the most time on, because what it was my trigonometry class in high school, and you know the good math teacher. Huh? But the good math.
Go on, continue.
Okay. The good math teachers were the ones that would just, give you the homework at the beginning. So it's like, if you feel like you understood the material, you could just start working, and you'd find out really quick whether, whether you understood the material or not by just doing the homework. And then if you didn't, you could ask good questions. But this teacher, she was adamant.
What is this player doing? Sorry, I just.
This player's terrible, but
just spiked it. Sorry.
But this teacher, she was adamant that she wanted everyone to listen to her lecture in its entirety before anyone tried to do any math, and it was awful. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I totally understand what she's trying to talk about. This is boring. So I whip out my calculator because you could play it, and the teacher might think that you're just trying to learn. And I'd play
Every
this.
teacher knew.
Well, this teacher actually did get on my case several times. She told me to stop playing, but then once I, would ace all her tests, she eventually left me alone, thank goodness. But I played so much of Z Tetris. I now realize the Tetris that I have actually sunk the most amount of time into is playing this version of Z Tetris, because I did it during school so much. And yeah, I got really good and really fast at this specific version of Tetris, and I'd make it so every time I got lines, it was always a 4 lines, and I'd get ridiculously high scores. Man, I loved this version of Tetris. It's almost my favorite version of Tetris just because it's the one I spent the most time in.
The problem with all these TI-83 games was whether or not the person had the data cable to actually download stuff.
I still have my data cable.
Standard.
I still have the data cable, which is funny because I was just realizing I don't have the calculator anymore because when I went to college, I got a TI-89, and my little sister.
Basically just like a 3.5 millimeter jack almost, right? If I'm
Yeah,
remembering.
yeah, it was. But it had like this big old block
There
attached
was more
to
than
it.
that. Yeah, it was more than that, but it was.
Yeah, like there was
That's
this
what it
little
looked like.
integrated circuit that was attached to it to actually do the I/O stuff. But yeah, so I gave
Just
So the
TI
89
flexing on everyone. Oh, we get it. You invented the T gray circuit.
and so the 83. I don't even have the 83 anymore because my little sister took it for high school when I got the 89 for college, and so she's the one who has the Tetris on there. I don't even know if she still has it, but I still have the cable to put the game on if I did get another 83 someday.
Maybe it'll work for my 84.
The one
It probably would.
The one that I always played, and I couldn't find a good video of it, was a game called Fast Tunnel.
The one you just showed was the one I remember all my friends playing. I never had any games on my calculator, though. That one.
This one,
Fast
Phoenix.
Tunnel.
I mean, I played
this
Phoenix
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I had this one on my calculator too.
Space
So
Invaders.
I remember there was a much better a much better one. I still think it was called Phoenix because that's what came to mind. But
Well,
there's
you
one that
know
had,
how
like,
it all
power-ups
is.
and-
Yeah, that's how it is at this era. Is they all have the same name, and sometimes they were just labeled wrong.
like the one I had was much cooler. It was much more Galaga, and you could have better power ups. It was way in depth for a calculator game.
Labeled wrong. How dare anyone on Kazaa name something incorrectly?
Yeah, like everyone thought that Legend of Zelda song was sung by System of a Down because one person mislabeled it and it got spread around.
And anything, and anything that was a parody was made by Weird Al. No other
Yes.
parody
Al,
artists existed.
Yep.
But no, ours was Fast Tunnel, and I'd play it in my physics class, which we had the coolest teacher in the history of the world, Mr. Kuhn.
Was it like a racing kind of game or what?
Yeah, so basically it's just an avoidance game where you're just a little arrow and the goal is to stay in between the lines, basically. And the longer you go, the tighter
I think I
it
know the one
gets.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it was called Fast Tunnel. I couldn't find a good video of it. Only video I found must have been by the guy who was playing Tetris because it was immediately dying as soon as the game started, and I dare not show it. It pissed me off. Freaking Andrew. But no.
Andrew and his terrible skills.
Of course, there was one that there's one that my brother used to play that I didn't want to play, but because the content. But it was a TI-83 game called Drug Wars. Did you hear that?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I knew as soon as you said like, oh no, it's too content. Oh come on, it's Drug Wars. Come on.
Oh my goodness, that was like text-based Grand Theft Auto back in the day. Oh my gosh.
That was literally the descriptor I was going to give it. But Mr. Cood was cool because he just had this attitude, and he's just like, if you guys fail the test, that's on you. I don't care what you do in my class as long as you don't interrupt it. Until my buddy Robert, who we'd play Fast Tunnel against each other, which meant we just sort of played and looked over and see who got the higher score, because that's the limit of playing against someone. And the only time he got mad was when Robert came in, and because Mr. Kuhn was on the what was it, Atkins diet, and he had lost a ton of weight. Like he looked a lot better, and Robert just brought a entire thing of potato chips and was just eating it. And he's like, my goodness, I could hear you getting fatter. He's like, I'm not getting fatter. And it's like, you cannot burn off that many calories. But Robert was on the cross country team. And he's like, I run 13 miles a day. He pauses.
Bet.
and he just goes, well, you'll regret it later. Just starts laughing. And he's like, 13 miles. He's like, I call bullcrap. And he's just like, I do. He's just, and it's like, there's no way. He's like, when you fail the test, but Robert had this weird, uncanny ability that as long as it was the multiple choice section, he could get the right answer on any test. And we couldn't figure out how he did it. And finally, Mr. Coon was convinced he was cheating, but like he never got on him about it because he's like, if he's cheating, he's doing it in a way that I can't figure out. And finally, one day he had enough. And he's like, that's it. Because Robert's just like, I just do good at multiple choice. That's it. And he takes he like writes something down on his little overhead projector, but he covers it so he can't see it. And it's like, the answer is A, B, C, or D. You've eliminated C. And Robert just goes, "What's the question?" He's like, "That's not the point of this test." And Robert just thinks, and he goes, "A." And Mr. Coon just reveals his hand dramatically and just starts laughing because he had written down A.
That's hilarious.
And Robert's just like, "Yes! I told you!"
That's an insane skill to have.
Oh, yeah, it made no sense. Like,
Well, especially because B and C are usually the more likely ones.
Yeah, right.
Well, Mr. Coon was also a diabolical genius. On one of our tests, he made 9 straight answers C.
He's one of those.
Oh,
yeah, man.
I had a teacher like that once. It's one of those, like, you start second guessing yourself.
Exactly.
It can't be right.
and he was having so much fun with it. The monster, because we're over here taking the test, and me and my friend Doug were typically the ones who were kind of quicker, and all of a sudden, I just like after like 9 or however many straight, I'm just like, "Mr. Coon," and he's like, "Don't discuss the test." And I was like, and the way he said it, I could just tell it's like, "Oh, you've done this on purpose, and now I don't know when it's gonna break the cycle, you monster." And you could just tell he's having a great time. But the thing was, he came clean. He always, like, he just would randomize which one the correct answer would be on. It just came out that way with his randomizer. And he's just like, that's the only way to make sure I don't make it, do something human with it.
Yeah.
But we're just like, it's still horrible of you to do that to us. And he's like, "Nah, it's good for you." And if I ever become a teacher, I'm totally going to do the same thing. Ugh, get it off this guy. He's terrible. Someone else say another game.
So bad at Tetris.
Drug Wars. So Drug Wars is everyone. That's the edgy one. I didn't want to go quite that edgy, so I played Hick Quest.
What's Hick Quest?
I played Hick Quest. I don't know if you guys.
I hadn't heard of this.
Hick Quest was. It was the main one that I played, to be honest. It's a similar concept, text based, but the goal was to get your blood alcohol content to 100%. So,
wow.
And for the record, this was the less edgy one.
This is less edgy because you're not selling illegal drugs; you're just dealing with alcohol. That's legal.
You're just literally
minors,
trying to replace your entire blood supply with alcohol.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like if I recall, there are people to beat. You get into text-based combat with other individuals, collect their money, and then use that money to buy various forms of alcohol.
Yeah, well, in the more edgy one, you did get into, gunfights with turf wars.
It was only ever just fighting someone fist to fist. A lot of hobos apparently.
Gosh.
You beat them up for their brown bags.
This sounds like a game that wouldn't get anyone in trouble.
Yeah, speaking of
I
games,
never got in trouble for it.
Speaking of games like that you would play because the teacher wouldn't know you're playing, did anyone else play Muds at school?
No. Did you just have a stroke?
No, I never.
At school?
An MUD, a multi-user dungeon.
Yeah.
How could you possibly do that with a text?
It begs the question: you have an internet connection at school that you're allowed to use? I mean, that's
what it
I never
is.
had.
The thing is it's the precursor of MMOs, but all it was just a Linux terminal. Is all it was. So all you had to do was open up, PuTTY or Telnet. So you just open up Telnet on school, and every computer has Telnet, and you would just Telnet SSH into another computer, a Linux computer that instead of being a usable normal computer, all the commands like, ls and changeder, everything has been just set to play this game instead. And so we would get on, and, if we were at the library, like at the school computers at the library, and if the library is, looking around to make sure no one's playing games, they see our computer, and all they see is just a giant screen of text, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing coding stuff," It's like, oh yeah, this is just command line coding stuff, Linux stuff, and they're like, okay, and they just move on and have no idea that you're playing a text-based game on a Linux,
no
on some Linux server.
To be seen. No do loops. It's all text-based directions. Get ye Flask and
such. Get ye Flask. Well, yeah, so east, west, south, and all of that. There was one time, one of the cooler librarians was walking around and noticed us, hanging out at the computers pretty often, and she started to wise up. She's like, I'm thinking what you guys are doing might not be just code. But she was cool and didn't get on our case because it was purely text-based. But yeah, so this one is one that I played a lot with my high school buddies. It was based off of Lord of the Rings. It's called The Two Towers. And yeah, I don't know. It was a good time, though. Granted, this one was really harsh because, man, PvP was pretty serious in this game, and you also couldn't save your equipment between sessions, which was awful. So every time you logged in, you had to go get a new weapon. That part I didn't like, but
you cannot get ye Flask.
But there were plenty other ones that I played. There was Core Mud and Retro Mud. Retro Mud was actually pretty fun because the people that made Retro Mud, they just wanted to throw in every single video game that they used to play into it. So like there was one section that was the Secret of Mana world, and another section that was like the Final Fantasy VI world, and another section that was the Mario world. And
I love how you say the people as if it's like some development studio.
Well, it's just college students that were developing it.
Yep.
Yeah, the development studio is a guy or two in their basement.
I mean, I actually, when I was in high school, I did, I guess, apply, not that I was paid to be one of the developers of Core Mud, and they actually let me. I mean, all of the developers at the time were just college students at Spokane. What's the university at Spokane,
Digipen?
Washington? No, it was
Spokane University.
It might have been Spokane.
Good guess.
I don't know.
You're just going for it,
All I know is, but the thing is like, I was just some, high schooler that's like, oh yeah, I know some C++ programming, but I didn't really know enough. But I learned a bit trying to do stuff with it, which was cool.
Which is the real purpose of these things.
Oh yeah. We just had fun and played around with it. Learned a lot. But, so, I mean, it actually wasn't a complete, like, uneducational in that regard. But it was a way to play at school.
You're lucky that you had access to computers with internet connections
at
school. Yeah.
And also, these muds are how I know that one episode of Batman the Animated Series, where Bruce is trapped in
virtual reality
dream world, in virtual reality dream world, I learned that whole you can't read in your dream is absolute BS. Because
that was popular theory at the time.
Because when I played way too much of these muds, like I was playing it at home, I was playing it at school.
Sleep.
I was dreaming in mud text.
Oh my gosh, Looney, you were so mud-pilled.
Like the scrolling text and the fonts and the colors and the moving with text, like that was all part of my dream, man.
Mud-pilled or gooey-pilled.
They're just coming up and down the lines of the hallways.
The entire world was written like the Matrix. It was all just code scrolling in shapes.
Lunarsar is actually Cypher.
Yeah, that's kind of was like that. But though, what's funny is after I graduated from high school, I stopped playing on Core Mud. But man, I think some of the people there took it kind of personally when you didn't play, because it's like they idled. They delete your account if you're too long that you don't log in. But it's like I went back and I noticed like some places I used to go where like the players can own a shop and they can blacklist people. It's like because I remade a character with the same name, I was blacklisted. I'm like, oh, I guess this didn't like that I just disappeared.
You've betrayed the mud.
Oh,
you cannot move on. You must stay here forever.
Yep.
How could
cannot
you betray
create
the
a
mud?
new account.
So I don't know. That's probably the closest I've been to being in a guild in an MMO, was playing a mud that people were
Well,
little
I mean,
over the top
how many
about.
users? How many users were in this mud, Looney? Really? Like a few hundred, if that.
Oh yeah, around that probably. Yeah.
Like a few hundred is a big mud, honestly.
I mean, oh, that one probably. I think there was like a core people of like 80 people, and maybe I don't know. I think my total account number, it'd definitely be in the hundreds. Yeah. But I don't know why we had 5 from my high school that played, because I don't know, one high schooler. I think we were like the only high schoolers playing it, because I think most people playing it were college. But you know,
So
good.
Speaking of playing in college and playing what was there, I want to discuss Halo Demo Edition.
Oh, demo.
It had blood gulches of PvP map. You could play one of the levels, and we played the crap out of it in our dorm because we're all poor college students, so no one bought the actual game. So we just played the trial version.
That's funny.
Over and over
Yep.
again.
100%. It's basically how I made my first fan group at college. Although the real was when we started playing StarCraft 2 and found out the entirety of our dorms, like all the buildings, were on the same LAN, and then Halo took a back seat because we could have LANs at all times.
StarCraft 2 or StarCraft 1?
StarCraft 1. Did I say 2?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, sorry. Brood War is what I meant.
For me, the
There
LAN
was only one
parties
StarCraft. It was just
were-
StarCraft.
were Battlefield 1942 was the LAN party in my dorm.
Well, the big thing was I think Petrivka's right. There was only one StarCraft, because I'm fairly certain we were all playing from copies of the same ripped disc. But
Oh, the sons of Helaman.
yep.
You know, actually, my freshman year, the online game of choice was Counter-Strike. And actually, there was someone in my dorm that was, like, he wouldn't play with us because he was a pro Counter-Strike player. He'd occasionally, like, I can give you some pointers, but I'm not going to play with you guys. Sorry.
He's above
man.
it. He's beating it.
Well,
Oh my
it was
God.
more he only wanted to play
No
against
slice.
other professional people, but yeah.
I haven't thought about that guy in so long.
Wait, you talking about something different? Probably.
It's a deep cut. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's a deep cut just to see if Pirate remembered a very specific thing. It's stupid. Anyway,
Someone who overcame Magic the Gathering.
yes.
Oh, okay.
No, but anyway,
Spoiler alert, he didn't.
he didn't. Yeah. So
No, while we got a demo up, there was one that for me, when I first got the PlayStation, I didn't have a game. It didn't come with a game. It came with a demo disc. And so when I first got it, opened it, and played it, I didn't have a game of my own to play on, and so I had to play this demo disc. Well, this one's a little different, but it's mostly the same. Let me skip ahead here. Yeah.
There's a bell.
So like this was like the interface.
wow, this has a lot actually.
Yeah. Oh, it had tons. Well, this isn't the exact one, but like I didn't have the Star Wars Masters, but I had like Intelligent Cube, Parappa the Rappa, Armored Core, Cool Borders.
Like this is
your demo disc was way cooler than the one I had.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
God, it had like 10 different games to play, and it had. I mean, some of them were just videos, but yeah, it had a lot.
I am impressed.
And even, but I mean, some of the games were terrible, like Croc and the Gobos. That was, back when.
Croc.
Hey, Croc is one of my games actually. One of
Oh,
mine.
yeah?
I played it. I played it because I had it.
Back when people were still using tank controls with 3D platformers.
Well, I was doing it on PC too, so even better.
But yeah, no, that demo disc was pretty cool, and like Intelligent Cube was, I think, one of the favorite ones on there. Oh, it also had an R-Type, the PlayStation R-Type game in it, which was actually a phenomenal demo. That game actually looked pretty cool.
Jeez Louise, this disc had everything.
Yeah. I just recently ripped my disc to play it on emulator, so my kids can even play it. So
get that demo disc experience.
But yeah, no, the PlayStation demo discs were I mean, they were legit because they let you play like tons of games.
I don't remember them having that much, but then again, I didn't get them, so it was only what I saw my buddies have. But still,
I'm trying to remember the one I had. It had I think it had like one area of Metal Gear Solid. That was like the best one. They had like a Tomb Raider. I want to say maybe 3. And then like a whole bunch of other like this quality that's showing right now. Like really it's okay. Looks like something that someone else did better.
Well, like, and they had some like really cool ideas that I don't know if the execution was quite right, but like Armored Core, like that game looked like its potential looked amazing.
This had Armored Core demo? My goodness.
Well, yeah, this one had a demo of like this video, the disc had Armored Core on, and yeah, mine had Armored Core as one of the demos.
I don't know. Like I feel like there's like there must be different tiers of demo discs, and I did not have something at this level.
Well, and even that menu that showed like what 4x4 like demo / videos you could use. That wasn't even all of them, because if you hit L or R, it would spin the little TV screen, and on the back of half of them there was like a code where you'd hit circle, triangle, square, and that would load up a different demo, a hidden demo. So it didn't just have the demos it showed, but it also had a few secret ones.
Secret demo.
So yeah, that demo disc was super awesome, and yeah, it's like when I just this break, I ripped all my PS1 games onto my computer, and I think made a priority to rip my demo disc because it was awesome.
I think I found the disc that I must have had. It apparently looks like it was one given out by Pizza Hut.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Wow.
No, mine's the one that came with my PlayStation.
Let me share the link.
Let's see.
I put it in the voice chat.
Voice chat. Where are we?
Oh my goodness, Mithril brings up a good point. The cereal box games. I forgot. I still have
like Chex
mine.
Quest.
I have Chex Quest. I had like a Tarzan
of all those.
Those were fun.
Ain't nothing wrong with the Chex Quest. Did anyone find it? I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Found it.
Oh,
okay.
Maybe I didn't put it in the right place. I don't know.
No, you did. I just couldn't find it because I'm dumb. Lunastar beat me to it anyway. Jet Moto 2. The Jet Motoing.
There we go. Loaded it up.
Good work.
Oh, are we in the watch together? I forgot the link to that place.
Yeah. I needed to put it in watch together.
It's in the what is... Oh.
Okay.
So wait, is this just a commercial for the demo, or is it actually...
Yeah, it shows kind of what's in it. But I don't remember obtaining it, right? Because I just remember having it, but I guess it must have come in a freaking Pizza Hut box, which is just wild.
But like, think of all the advertising effort this has to go to.
Wow.
You know, I don't remember the ad either, but like it doesn't mean it didn't happen because clearly there's video evidence.
You know, between this and like the advertisements in the Ninja Turtle games, Pizza Hut was really an early adopter of video games as an advertising platform.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the interface isn't quite as cool. Less games, but it's got Metal Gear Solid. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
but did the other one have an entire intro that showed me all the delicious options that Pizza Hut can offer?
Gran Turismo and Crash Bandicoot, weird, you know, not like a normal, like a weird Crash Bandicoot, like I don't even know. And Medieval, yes.
Oh man.
So this was all I got, man. You had like you were showing like 9.
Man. So Breakfast had like the fancy high school that had the TI-83s, and Lunisar got the fancy discs.
And I got the one from Pizza Hut.
You're over here in Pizza Hut land.
Pizza Hut land.
With all the other Pizza Hut folk.
Up the peasantry.
Man.
So speaking of LAN parties, though, nothing beats the in high school we had a Cisco networking class, and in this
high school,
yeah, we could get the Cisco
Why is
network
everyone's high school
certification.
so much cooler than mine?
I promise mine
yeah,
wasn't.
like, I don't even know if we had computer classes like period in our high school.
But yeah, this one you could even after you finish the class, you could go take the Cisco test to get
Is this Scorched Earth?
Yes. So
I loved Scorched Earth.
So in this Cisco class, you know, we could get the Cisco Certified Network Administrator certification after, you know, we'd have to pay money and take the test, but you know that's what this class prepared us for.
This is like a
Though.
Scorcher. This is like a fancier version of an older game, I think.
And so the
What
teacher,
is this?
he wasn't.
This looks familiar.
Wait, this is like the gorilla game.
Wars, or I forget what it's called.
Yeah. And
No,
so
this game came out long before any of those Flash games did.
No, this wasn't
This
a Flash.
game
No,
predates Flash.
no. So
I
we
remember
had
playing one that was like old, like not even colors.
yeah, the one I had, the one we played. It was gorillas throwing bananas, like they were like King Kong style.
okay, actually I did have that game on my dad's old DOS
And let me
machine.
tell you, it did not run as smoothly as whatever this thing's doing.
Yeah, so in this Cisco class,
It's in this one upgrades.
So the teacher,
one.
the teacher, he was actually just like the football coach, and you know he had taken some crash course in it. He wasn't exactly, you know, Mr. Computer. Like he admitted, you kids know more about computers than I do, but I'm here to answer questions because I have taken, you know, I've had someone else train me on this, on how to teach you guys. But mostly you guys will just be going through the course on your own pace with this. And as long as you guys, you know, do your work, whatever, I don't care. And so we had our own little kind of sandbox network in the back room that I remember one time I just went in there, and since they were old Windows machines, I made it so every single computer in that little sandbox lab had the blue screen of death. And you know, it was kind of make the teacher go back there, and he just walks in the room, sees every screen with the blue screen of death. He immediately just turns around and just walks out like, and then turns to me, Lee, fix it.
So he knew who was responsible and needed to pay for the crime.
Yes. Oh well, I mean, it was just kind of, we were just having fun. But one of the things we would do in this class is, I don't think it was this version of Scorched Earth. I think it was Scorched Earth 2000. But everyone in the class, in the middle of class, would set up a LAN party of Scorched Earth, and we'd all play against each other during class. And the teacher was cool with it. It was good old Cisco networking class.
I had totally forgotten about this game, but I definitely
Cisco
played
networking
it.
class, man.
Everyone else's high school is so much cooler than mine.
I know, like I didn't have stuff like this. I mean,
So,
I
yeah.
was in band, so you know, I don't know.
Yep. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
you're
class,
part of a cult for high school.
That class was mostly
Here we
just
go.
LAN parties of playing games.
Man, this thing loads so smoothly compared to what I was used to. Like, we did have a computer class, but it was taught by a woman who, unlike your example of the coach, thought she could fool us that she knew more than us.
Oh.
And
Ooh, that's dangerous.
yeah, it didn't work. But we did figure out how to, I don't know what it was called. It might have just been called Bomberman, but it was basically a Bomberman where we could play across a LAN system because all the computers were LANed together for some reason. I don't know why.
Was it Atomic Bomberman?
It could have been. I don't like I said, I don't remember it all. But all I know is my friends were really bad at it. They just kind of didn't understand the key concepts of getting trapped.
People with network computers. I mean, my one computer class that I remember taking in public schooling at all was my keyboarding class. And if we finished your typing lessons, you could play solitaire with the keyboard only.
Okay.
Ooh, we had a more fun one. Can I go?
Go right ahead.
That was my junior high, but luckily high school we had this lab.
I mean, that was 8th grade, yes. So.
Perfect segue.
So for me, computer lab, it was typing games they had. And if you finished your typing lessons on time, you got to play Carmen Sandiego. That was what our school had in the computer lab.
Oh, like high-tech Carmen Sandiego. Holy smokes.
Yeah, the 1990 whatever Carmen Sandiego. That game was fun.
It was from the 90s.
Yeah, my Carmen Sandiego was definitely 80s.
Yeah, that's the one that I remember. I mean, it was didn't have music.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a bit different than I know some other people experience. Like, we had animations, you're walking around on little, like, 2D worlds and trying to go to different countries and follow the clues.
Dang,
I remember being, like, so confused when I played it.
This is stylish, man.
Yeah.
This has developers involved. They have voice talent.
This is what I remember playing in school with Carmen Sandiego.
This is a real game.
Man. Yeah, this wasn't my Carmen Sandiego.
Well, if I remember correctly, if I remember correctly, it even has like little videos of the lady from the game show.
Yeah, I was gonna say this looks like it takes a lot of cues from the game show.
This is the fanciest Carmen Sandiego I've ever seen in my life, just by the way.
And you will ever see in your life.
Well, because like I remember one time I played it.
Right, because the Carmen Sandiego, you don't remember his voice before the show. I mean, here she is.
That is her.
Yep, that's her.
Yeah, this is definitely based on the game show then.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing though, playing this is we didn't have like specific logins. So when you open the game, you're on whatever save file somebody left. You have no clue what's happening.
You have a game of telephone going on.
Yeah.
Dude, I actually remember one of the times I played at school, and like when I had to find out, it's like, I had to figure out where Carmen Sandiego was, and like one of the clues is this is where someone would go to paint, and it was a volcano, and it ended up being Mount St. Helens, and I'm like, wait, I had to ask them like, what does that have to do with painting? And they're like, someone painting the landscape of the volcano erupting. I'm like, okay.
Volcano is not my first choice of painting areas. Some of those clues were a little off.
Oh, it sounds like some of these clues were a lot off.
This version of the game was legit though.
Yeah, I mean, like full video. I mean, geez, like this is like next gen.
I have never seen this version of Carmen Sandiego. This is incredible. Holy cow. All right.
You're still flying a propeller plane, but
So, talking about games you just play because they're there. Like, obviously, with Microsoft, it's Hearts, it's Solitaire. But I spent a lot of time on my parents' computer before they got any computer games playing 3D pinball. Space Cadet.
See, this is the true, like a true act of desperation. You got nothing but what Windows 95 came with.
Hey, this made it to XP, man.
Sure, yes.
Look, it's full 3D, man.
But,
it's fancy. This is rendered in
basic.
engine.
This is basic. This is as basic as it gets, brother.
But I still remember the theme.
It's a pretty decent theme, and
sounds even the sounds actually is a nostalgia trip for me, honestly.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is, so there's this thing called Rainwave that we sometimes use on my stream where it's just a random feed of things from OC Remix. And I actually remember one time a song came on, I'm like, what is this? Why do I recognize this? Why does it make me feel things? And then I look and see what it is. I'm like, 3D pinball. Someone's done a remix of 3D pinball.
Nice.
For Windows.
I think it was possible if you actually like paid money somehow, you would get other tables, but like I don't know anyone that did.
No one did it. I also remember, I think it might have been Lizzie
like
when we were playing Video Game
rar.
20 Questions. This came up on it.
Oh, that was so frustrating. I kept forgetting pinball was like a type of game. That was, yeah.
Well, and just of all games, because it's one of those things, people made suggestions, and when people started putting Microsoft games on there, I'm like, they do count. I forgot that they count, but they count.
One of the oldest games.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things you don't think about it when you think gaming. But I mean that's literally the point of this entire night, kind of. It's just we're all just talking about
even a deaf, dumb, and blind kid can play that.
I pity people who don't get that. Anyway,
Boy, yeah, not enough rockers here.
Yeah, the another one I'd like to talk about, if we're going to talk about that. Thank you for whoever posted it.
Yeah, gotta talk Minesweeper, man.
Have to talk Minesweeper.
My goodness.
You do have to talk Minesweeper.
I've spent so much time on Minesweeper, though I think Lizzie even played more than I did, honestly.
The thing is, as a kid, I randomly
familiar to me. Is this like the new version? Like, is this like the Windows 7 version of Minesweeper?
No, I'm not sure.
Windows hasn't had Minesweeper in a long time. This might be a Flash version.
Isn't it anymore?
Oh no!
I was gonna say, like, the icons I don't recognize.
This is on a phone, I think, actually.
Yeah.
You know, that would make sense.
All I know is when I used to play as a kid, I had no clue what anything meant. So it was just randomly click until the screen explodes. Like,
yeah, for a while, I was the same kind of player.
But dude, when I told her that you can double click,
I killed at least
she's
two
like,
different
wait, you
mice.
can do what? And then, like, once I showed it to her, she was hooked on it.
You could just hear me in the office. Click, 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 click. Like, so fast.
That's the other thing you can do.
Yeah, I literally had some of my
destroy your tendons.
Die.
Yeah, no, seriously. But like when we were first married, and I showed her how to double click, man, she spent so much time just. And I'm just sitting next to her on my computer, and I just hear, it's like a drill.
You taught her how to double click in Minesweeper, right?
Yeah, well, what I mean by double click is if you have, like, say there's you put down two flags, and then you double click on the two where you hit the left and the right click at the same time. If there's that many flags that you've marked, it'll automatically clear everything else around it.
Okay, I just making sure, like surely she knew how to double click on things, right?
Yes, she knew how to click twice,
yes,
but I mean
knew
like
how to double click. I didn't know how it affected the game.
But like the hitting the right and left at the same time to auto clear as long as you've marked as many flags as that number has. Like as it is, it's driving me crazy that he didn't just double click on that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But like that's a game changer once you learn that function of Minesweeper.
You know, I'm surprised that like for a game as basic as that, like they never had instructions that were like really like customer facing, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, you just had to like experiment and figure out what it is.
I remember the first time I saw it was I was at the neighbor across the street, the Shearwoods, and Mr. Shearwood was just playing it on their computer, and it's one of those signs that you're meant to, you know, you're gonna be a dweeb the rest of your life, and I'm just like, what is this? He's like, it's Minesweeper, and I'm just like, how does it work? And he starts showing me, and I'm just like, oh wait, okay, so that could be, you know, and it's just like suddenly you start seeing the possibilities.
Turning and yeah.
It's like, well, wait, that can't be because this and this. And it's the whole thing of it. Oh, dear.
Oh, my gosh. It's the ultimate. This is the game that you played at school if you had it. And the funny thing is, I tried finding this game afterward, and like, I must not have had like the right keywords or something. I had a hard time finding this after.
Wow, but playing it at a high resolution like this, that is trippy. Everything's so tiny.
Like there's music? Like what?
I can't even comprehend what I'm looking at. There is so much. I mean, this is the freest free ski has ever been. Ski free. Yeah. I said free ski.
Ski free. Whoa, this one has. Whoa, you're right. There is music on this video. That's weird.
I know. Like the music is like what? There's music.
Maybe I should have specifically found the Windows 3.1 gameplay, but man.
Apparently, they hadn't invented up-resing technology yet.
Question is it says full gameplay. It's like they got to show the Yeti eating them at this some point.
Like, where's the? I'm like, I see no Yeti here. Like, clearly, this is not the full game.
It doesn't take that long for the Yeti to come. I swear. But I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like back in the day, Windows came with all sorts of cool games, and they come with none of that now.
Unless you get advertisements.
Well, advertisements, or they pay for you. You have to pay on the Windows Store to remove some of these ads. It's
because they were trying to compete at the time, and they were also kind of trying to, because you got to remember, there's a lot of people. It's like, what do I do with a computer? And it's like, well, it's interesting.
There are people that didn't even know what to do in Windows. Like, what do I do with Windows?
It didn't make sense to them. It's what the weirdest note is the fact that Doom outsold Windows, which could only be played on Windows.
I was pretty sure I played it out of DOS.
No, it was a specific point in Doom's history before they. I can't. There was some
Windows port version or whatever, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It was some weird thing where they outsold the thing that they were on, and they're just like, that doesn't make sense. Who's buying multiple versions of this? But yeah, it's just sort of
this version looks better.
Yeah, this is more what I remember. Yeah.
But like, I mean, all the pack-in goodies that used to come with it's like, I don't know. I just feel like in the past couple of decades, Windows has just been getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and the lack of games is part of it. Well, there's a reason why I switched to Linux. Let's be honest, it's because Windows kept getting worse.
For the excellent Steam support, obviously.
Well, once Steam broke the dependency of Windows, that's when Project Proton. That's exactly the reason why I said goodbye, Windows. Thanks to Valve, I don't need you anymore. Goodbye.
I do enjoy the deck. I use that deck.
So obviously we've been covering a lot of like pack-in things that have been sort of you play it because it's there and you don't have options. What about when you're with family members and they haven't invented proper party games yet, so they just do game shows as video games?
Yeah, so this is one that I brought up because we had someone that I'm trying to remember the story, but like they wanted to be like, you know, their grandchildren didn't live in the same state that they did, and we were neighbors, and so they kind of wanted to have pseudo grandchildren that live close by, and so they, you know, wanted to be like friends with us, and so they'd like buy us like birthday gifts and stuff, you know, just friendly elderly neighbors, and they knew I was into video games, and so they wanted to buy me something, a video game for me, and since they didn't know anything about video games, they bought Sports Jeopardy for me. And so it's like,
oh, perfect
thanks.
match for you.
I'm like, thanks. I literally know nothing about sports, but okay, it's a game, I guess.
Please, did someone who speaks English write this?
And so
I would
probably not. Honestly, probably not. But I did play it a few times with my friends, you know, because I'm like, well, I have it, might as well play it, right? And I don't know, we did have some kind of fun moments, because there was one, I was telling Splice about this earlier.
Oh my gosh, you had to type the
yes,
thing?
you had to type it in.
Wait for
This
it.
is aggravating.
No,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is wait. Well, don't worry. We're gonna get to better versions of this, and by better I mean worse.
Better.
But like there was one time, you know, a question came up and it was like, oh, this famous English jockey fell off his horse during this race. And, you know, me and my friends were like, neither one of us know anything about, you know, horse races in England, right? And I just turned to my friend like, watch it be Prince Charles. And, you know, we have a good chuckle and a laugh. The time runs out, you know, and the answer was, it was Prince Charles. And we're like, wait, what? It's like, I guess that was a story that I had never heard because I didn't, you know, I was a kid. So, but, oh man. But yes, this game is just awful. And, you know, the funny thing is, you know, as Splice was pointing out earlier, it's like if you spell it wrong, you get, you know, your answer's incorrect. You know, you have to spell it right.
That's so frustrating.
Well,
And so-
think of how boring this gameplay is for everyone else to watch them spell it out.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like if you spell it wrong and the person realizes, oh, you're saying the right answer, but you just spelled it wrong, now the other person knows the answer as long as they can spell it.
All right, so he's talking about the Sports Jeopardy. I'm going to introduce you all to the far more superior version. And by that...
Bobby's playing NHL. What the heck?
A bunch. Anyway.
This is Bobby. He's...
Jeopardy for the NES. So,
oh my goodness, this is by Rare? Oh, wow.
Rare did a lot of these in the early days, actually. And I want to specify, the only reason I know about this game is because...
the nightmare fuel you put on the thumbnail?
Well, there's that. But, no. So, all I remember from this was we went to visit my aunt and uncle for the first time, and they had an NES, but they had a very limited game pool. And one of them they had was Jeopardy, and they had nothing to do. So all the adults got together. I was probably 5 or 6 at the time. And they sat down and played Jeopardy. And this game, what you just saw was far better in terms of gameplay compared to this. But this is far better because the avatars they choose are unintentionally hilarious. So we're just gonna move so you can see how slowly you have to type. So there's Beryl buzzed in.
Yikes.
Wow.
And then wait, she gets it right. Wait for her to get it right. Yay! Like, just
Gotta do this stupid. Oh my gosh.
And this, all it was fist pumping.
His fist.
And it was just my uncles just laughing their butts off at these stupid animations. And they just kept picking different characters later on because they wanted to see what dumb thing that they've animated.
All the different
next.
animations. Wow.
All the 2 and 3 frame animations that you could muster. And that's the other thing. When the computer doesn't know, it'll buzz in and then just put gibberish in. You're just like, what is...
Like, Exclamation point and end.
Oh, there's Diane. She's so excited.
Jazz hands.
That's interesting. They didn't even program like bad answers. They just like, nope, if it doesn't know, it's just
blank.
Yeah, it's funny.
RNG it is.
Yeah. It's just like, why is he fist pumping? All he did was buzz in.
Tick, tick, tick.
And
oh
look
my
at how
gosh.
look at how slow this cursor is compared to the SNES one.
Well, I mean, it's all you could do, though. I suppose.
Yeah.
Right?
But to which you might say, then maybe you shouldn't make this into a game. And it's like, but we have a marketable brand. Ugh. It's just so weird with the animations, and I love it. And yes, this is Rare. Rare did a lot of these back in the day.
But this looks really familiar. I mean, I like a similar, rather, to another kind of a game show game that I played with my dad a lot, called Win, Lose, or Draw.
Ah.
Oh, yes. Nice.
Oh dear, I hit the wrong button. Oh dear.
You guys know it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I watched the
'Cause of
actual
the
game
music.
show.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, there's the game show. I don't know if anyone knows the PC game.
Oh, heavens
the
no.
Walt Disney Oh my gosh.
Well, it's because they owned it.
I think
guess.
that isn't there an OC remix of this song called like Win Draw or Groove or something like that.
No, you're thinking the Pictionary.
Oh, you're right. Pictionary.
Person, place, or groove.
Person, place, or groove. You're right. Okay.
But that's
This
a
looks
See, this
vaguely
was less
familiar.
aggravating because you at least you were drawing something. Like, I mean, yeah, you were kind of etch-a-sketching with a PC arrow keys, which was not awesome.
Oh, so not
But,
even the mouse. Wow.
Well, I mean, what's a mouse? This is 1988, man.
man, geez Louise, the computer's gonna knock the socks off anything a human could do.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the thing. Like, the computer drawing was like a major advantage.
Because it could actually draw. It's like, look at this. It's like filling things in and stuff. It's not fair. It's got access to Microsoft Paint. Terrible.
It's like
Not fair.
true sketch skills.
It's like whenever you see like those
But,
people who like make masterworks on an Etch-a-Sketch, you're just like, how?
Yeah. Exactly.
Or like draw with friends when that was popular,
Yeah.
like 10 years ago or so.
And you're just sitting there in awe.
Yeah, the
of-
animations here are not nearly as expressive.
Yeah, and I love their color palette of cyan, pink, and black.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, this was like I played this on a monochrome monitor, so I mean, I think that was really like all I had was
man.
amber and gray.
Yeah, that's a lot from that era. You know, come to think of it, a lot of these games actually were like, I think a lot of my Game Boy games were kind of that as well. Like the number of hours I put into Kirby Pinball on road trips.
For me, it's Pokemon Pinball.
But it's just like these games aren't great, especially on the original Game Boy. 'Cause there are some very strict hardware limitations.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I enjoyed this for what it was, but at the same time, it's not like anyone's sitting here clamoring. It's like, oh, if we could just get it.
I mean, like this is 1993. This is late stage Game Boy. This is good.
Yeah.
It looks nice. It's smooth.
I mean, granted, I played Kirby's Dream Land again just the other day, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Good
but
stuff.
that was one of the things is Kirby kind of made the jump. He was able to do good things with it. But this is actually like a good discussion because it was because Kirby actually considered what are the limitations of the system? What can we do? And because Sakurai's talked about how they purposefully said, all right, this is going to be on NES and Game Boy. You know, we need to make these things very simple looking because there's no other choice. And so
you're not going to get color for the Game Boy, right?
Yeah. And so he's like, all right, let's make it this blob thing. Let's, very simple gameplay because we make it slower because we don't have a lot in the way of frames and space for these things. So just, make it the gameplay slow so they don't need to be like, that was one of the problems like with the Game Gear with like Sonic is like, here's this gameplay that's like, oh, let's move fast. But, we have one, 20p, if that, in terms of frame rate or in terms of resolution. And so you can't see ahead of you at all. And it's like, does this really make sense for this mobile on-the-go gameplay?
I mean, it is interesting when you think about it, because, like, the Game Gear technically was superior to the Game Boy in every aspect, but the Game Boy won.
Well, except for battery life, which is...
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it had more batteries, too.
Yeah, it had way more batteries, and went through them quickly.
It ate those batteries, man. But it's part of what we talk about. Like, you have to sit there and say, what is your design space? And what can you actually do? And it's just so frustrating because so many times people... I mean, it's the old Jurassic Park quote. They just ask if they can, not if they should.
Well, I mean, that's a big technology question, because, like, a lot of people were talking about how, this tablet thing that Apple came up with is so cool, and I'm like, Microsoft had a tablet a decade before before Apple did, but what's the one that's remembered? Well, Apple decided when the technology was at the right time to try it, whereas Microsoft wanted to do it earlier. And, same thing with like early laptops.
Same thing with Sega.
Yeah.
Sega tended to be ahead of the curve, but
if you're too far ahead of the curve, if there's if you haven't waited for the technology to be in the proper position to really take advantage of what you're creating, then it's either too expensive or it just is, untenable for people to use, whether it's chewing through the battery life's too short, or the interface isn't quite worked out, or it's too slow. Like, there's a few different things that often people forget about. But I mean, a lot of cool technologies are made like that, and you're glad for those early versions that allowed the more popular versions to later, come out and exist. So I don't know, it's kind of one of those interesting things where, yeah, that question of just because we can doesn't mean we should yet.
Well, and on top of it, because any successful product at all is a combination of a lot of things, but timing is a huge one. And a lot of things just don't time the market right. And Sega's just a key one. So it's like Sonic and Sega's Attitude Era essentially was perfectly timed because, kids were starting to get older and they're starting to look for, a little more edgy stuff. And so it makes perfect sense to go with that attitude. But, that can only get you so far. It's like one of my favorites is the new God of War game. And it's like, when did it come out? Well, when a lot of the guys who originally grew up playing God of War are now adults and are fathers and have kids. And it's like, oh, look, a story about fatherhood. It's just the timing is right. I don't know. Probably deeper than I intended for this original concept. don't know. I'm trying to see if there's any others that people put out that I missed.
Well, we haven't talked about Oregon Trail yet. That the one that
oh my goodness,
we were required by class to play.
You know, I mean, a lot of these games probably are classroom type.
Classrooms, phones.
Well, like before, we were kind of focusing on here were the games we were able to play, like either sneak it on the calculator or, you know, it was available on the computers at school and we could play it when there was downtime. This one is different, and this was actually like required for us to play.
Yeah.
Not
like
me.
it was part of the curriculum. And I don't know, as someone who, you know, I did have pioneer ancestors, so it was actually kind of extra interesting for me because it's like, okay, this is history, but it's also history of some of my ancestors, which is kind of neat. So, and
all I learned is that it's way better to be a banker because they have more cash.
Because they have more money.
They have the bigger money. Yeah.
And I didn't.
More provisions you can.
I also just didn't. I clearly did not understand the mechanics of the game because it's like, do you want to ford the river? And it's like, maybe. Do I? And then people say
the river is 20 feet deep. Let's go. We ball.
And it's like, I don't know what fording means. What does that mean? It's just one of those things. I have no context for whatever this is.
Dysentery.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is an older. This is the old Apple IIe version. Like this game got so many updates too. This is older than the version I played in school.
Well, I mean, the oldest version was text based actually, on a punch card computer.
Yeah,
but most kids have not played that one.
If you go to Gaming Historian's most recent video,
I'm kind of Oregon Trail pilled, so I know.
Well, what's interesting is I actually think in my high school there was like an old unused lab that had a bunch of old Apple IIes that they just hadn't thrown away yet. But yeah, most of the computers were newer than that, so they would have had a newer version. Actually, yeah, this one's still like it's been mostly text so far, or is this one all text just about?
They've got like little graphics. This is the version I remember. But they got to get through all the dialogue first.
The question is, do they have the hunting mini game?
Yeah, I remember that hunting mini game.
Yes,
it's like, well, yeah, I got to make sure to bring lots of bullets so we can go hunt buffalo.
Where I
want to get those nice big ones.
Where I recreate the entire like destruction of the ecosystem created by that era. As I proceed to murder all the wildlife, and it's like you can carry like
all wildlife with more meat than you can carry, right?
Yeah, with like 10 times more meat than I can carry. Like it's frankly an obscene amount of meat that I was carrying, and you're just like, why would you need that much? And the answer is like, well, because I don't know what I'm doing in the rest of the game, but I know how to play this mini game, so that's what I'm going to do.
And I know I need food or else I'll die, so yeah.
Yeah, that follows my 7-year-old logic. And, you know, nothing else, but at least we have that. This is just one of those things. I look at it and I just laugh as I think of like modern kids looking at this and just being like, and this is what you played? This was fun? And you're just like, look,
the whole concept of edutainment is non-existent nowadays.
Yeah, no, at least nowhere in the same way.
Is there still
I know they like the market's no longer.
Well, like they were making new versions of this game for a long, long time. Have they finally stopped?
Yeah,
no.
Oregon Trail 2 was incredible. I think they just recently made a version that's only on Apple Arcade, but you know, I'm not Apple pilled, so I can't play it.
Obsessed with pills today.
Well, I mean, this was back when like the schools like they were fighting over whether it was going to be Apple computers or Windows computers. It was a big deal. I mean, I liked how a lot of my like at my high school they had PC labs and Mac labs, and so you could kind of pick. But in junior high, we were stuck with Macs, and that's when I learned to absolutely hate Apple computers, because the ones that we had at that junior high were awful. I hated them so much. They were terrible. It's like they'd lock up, but there was no power button on the machine. It was on the keyboard. But if the computer locked up, then hitting a button on the keyboard does nothing. So I'd have to go crawl under the desk and pull the plug because that was the only way to turn it off if it got locked up like that.
Well, at least Apple stopped putting things on weird sides of their peripherals, right? Right?
Yes, the charging port for most obviously.
I'm not bitter. Anyway, no, Oregon Trail is a great example. Okay, so I want to discuss something to end this tonight. I had a friend growing up named BJ, and he tended to be a little further down the tech curve than me. And so he got a Super Nintendo. And this is at the height of the Nintendo versus Sega wars. And so I said, well, wait, Christmas is coming up. I'll ask for a Genesis. That way we can play both. Brilliant idea. This game selection on the SNES was just better. It just is. He was over here playing Chrono Trigger and Mario Kart. Meanwhile, I don't know what games I'm supposed to get for the Sega Genesis. Loved my Sonic 2 and 3. Those were great. Loved them. But I had to rely on whatever games my parents got me and what my mom thought was cool. Now, my mom, later in life, she hit on some absolute gems that we'll just talk about at some later date. But she did not hit on the gem that is Zoop.
Hey, that was on the Super Nintendo. I had a buddy with Zoop, and I actually had fun with it, if I'm honest.
This is the most 90s looking game I have ever seen.
Yeah. Zoop pilled.
It is totally
I have
like
not been Zoop pilled. I have no idea.
I have no clue what this is.
It is Nickelodeon logo, the game for sure.
Yeah, look at how look at this thing.
This looks like this should be advertising for something at the time.
Exactly. Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like that?
Like, it was a puzzle game.
This is a Prince commercial or something.
This is insane. And the sound, like if you're not listening to this with the sound, the soundtrack is this weird. Gosh, I don't even know what the word for this is. Like, it's all like a hipster cafe. And so your goal is to just make sure nothing goes in there.
You know, the funny thing is I occasionally see this game for sale at retro stores, and it's usually like $1 or $2 for the game. And
there's a reason.
I have memories of it, so every now and then I'm like, if it's only a couple bucks, should I pick it up? And I'm like, nah. You know, it's like
you've made the correct choice today. You've children.
My friend had it. My friend had it, and I played it, and you know, it was fun enough, but like, it wasn't one that I wanted to get out and play.
Candy Crush for the Sega Genesis. My gosh.
Yeah, it was on the Super. It was on the Super Nintendo as well.
Candy Crush is better. I'm including the ads.
This is kind of the same vibe as though.
Yeah, I feel it.
But it's just
like
just
in
even the
terms
name.
Of complexity. I mean, like you only got a few things you can do.
But like even just the
Zoop.
name, that it's just Zoop. It's like what is a Zoop?
You have no clue what you're getting into. With
Sounds like something Gwyneth Paltrow would sell.
Yeah.
Oh gosh!
Exactly.
Oh gosh! Oh no!
Why, pirate? Why?
Because it was the perfect line of play. Okay, you people need to get pirate pilled.
There.
No, he's correct. It does sound like something Gwyneth Paltrow would sell. Oh, and they're dead because
he got zipped.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know any of these. And the continual scores. What the crap?
Scores. What? what language was this? What country were these people from?
I don't know, but just this overlay is just so like this. Whenever people say what was the aesthetic of the '90s, I show them Zoop. It's like it's this, and there's like what? There's like what is this? I don't know.
And like a very specific period. Like this is like 1990, like 6 and 7, like the Fruitopia era.
Yeah, the correct definition of what is this art aesthetic, and it's 80s in hospice and desperately trying not to die. No, I actually
collared t-shirts.
I just remember there was a video I watched one time, and it was this guy just saying like how he liked Disney's park aesthetics before, and I'm just like, oh, this sounds like an interesting thing. And I wasn't prepared for this video to go into the detail. It went into architectural style history in a way I was not prepared for, and how I'm trying to remember what it was all, but it's like talking about how like the 80s, 90s aesthetic came from something called like the Tennessee School of Design, where it was a rejection of the opulence and grandness of the 50s and 60s. It's just and the quietness of the beige of the 70s, and it's loud, and I'm just like, holy crap, this was in depth. And this game is this taken to its logical conclusion.
Wow, interesting.
From the Tennessee School.
Especially because I'm the type of person that I've said many times, like, man, you know what I miss? It's like, what? Art Deco. That was awesome. Why does everything look lame now? Well, you just answered my question.
Well, and that was the thing. I had to find. It was a very interesting video.
You need to reject those. Use Rapture.
Yeah. It's just. It's like, what is the 90s aesthetic? It's like primary neon colors and shapes. It's like, what shapes?
It's interesting because like when I look at like modern cartoons, I mean, I do think a lot of it is just for cheapness, but like what's it called? Like the Cal Arts style, where it just looks cheap and bad. And that's the aesthetic now.
Well, it's not so much. In my opinion, it's not so much that it's cheap and bad. It's that everything's the same.
Yeah, that too.
It's very samey. It's kind of more.
But that's also something that, gosh, this is getting down a weird philosophical topic. It's something that's a natural outgrowth of the internet, because the world is simultaneously getting smaller, and so there's a unique thing that's going on in America where a lot of dialects are kind of starting to disappear, and there's a more generic American dialect that's just sort of happening.
Kind of like the Hollywood dialect, I guess.
Yeah, and so because everyone's watching, similar YouTubers and stuff, and so because kids, they tend to not follow their parents, they tend to follow their peer group in terms of how they talk, and so it's a weird thing. And so it's a very similar thing, I think, with art, where, people learn to draw, and it's like, oh, okay, what do? Well, they imitate what they like. And so things get a little samey. That same sort of middle ground between the bean style and the anime style.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Like I was watching the Batman the Animated Series recently. I'm like, man, animation was so much better back in the day. Holy cow.
Well, it's just,
unless it was doing this. Like, oh, actually, you know what this Zoop reminds me of? Rocko's Modern Life. It just looks like Rocko's Modern Life in every way possible.
No, it was just, it's a fascinating topic of the effect of the internet on your art, because it's like, why did Batman, the anime series look so much better? And it's like, well, for one, because it was a lot more expensive. To get a show like Batman already is going to require a much bigger time investment and money investment. And so they're harder projects to get off the ground. Whereas now the barrier to entry is so much lower, because there's various technologies that make things similar. Like they're literally drawing half the frames they used to have to draw, because there's now technology out there that can draw the in-between frames for them.
Well, it is interesting. I saw someone talking about like the animation of anime, and it's something I had kind of noticed, but they've gotten a little better at hiding it if you're not looking at it. Because often you look at anime and you're like, oh wow, the characters are very detailed, but if you pay attention, you notice that they only animate one character at a time. Like they want to make one frame look really detailed and nice, and hold it for as long as possible. And so only the person who's talking is the only one that they animate. So they want to focus on, they want it to look good, but they can't, it's too expensive to animate everyone, so they're very picky on when they choose to change the frame.
Well, it's because they only have so much budget. It's very similar if you look at the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Everyone has some sort of neck thing going on, whether it be a necklace, a kerchief, a shirt, and it's so they can not animate the lower half of the body and just have the head move around.
Well, that's why they started putting gloves on all the characters.
Yeah. Don't have to draw the details of the hands.
Recycled animation too.
Yeah. Well, it's like, ask Walt Disney, why does Mickey have 4 fingers? And the answer is because it's less expensive than drawing 5 fingers. And that's the answer. That's why they have 4 fingers. Because if you go any further down from that, the brain starts to notice it. And so you can get away with 3 fingers and a thumb, and the brain's just sort of fine with that for some reason. Boy, this got way into the weeds after talking about just gaming, just because it's there.
Well, Zoop's kind of a trip, man, so that took us down that 10-minute trip.
We'll leave it on Jeopardy and its weird things. All right. This has been a very interesting conversation. So, let's all give a little what to do about what we're up to. Lizzie, would you like to go first? Because we haven't had you in a while.
Sure. I guess promoting my stream. I stream on Twitch, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. Lizzie Petrichor, on twitch.tv/Lizzie Petrichor. I do Pokemon shiny hunting. I just started with the new year. Most shiny hunters make what they call a bingo card of shinies they want to try and get that year. So far, I've gotten 1 already. I got my Baltoy this last stream on Thursday, and I think I'll be starting...
What's Baltoy?
It's a Pokemon. It's like
I assumed that part. I assumed you weren't like capturing random real animals.
No, it's a Digimon.
Okay,
well, okay, yes. By Splice's standards, it's a Digimon.
But what is it actually? Like
what?
What type of animal is a Baltoy?
It's kind of like a clay spinning top Pokemon.
Oh, so it's a toy. Okay.
It's a toy looking thing. Yeah. So I got that one just this last time, and I'll be starting my next one come Tuesday. So if you like to watch Pokemon shiny hunting or just want to come chill while I talk at you, I have some pretty chill streams. So you're all welcome to come.
All right. Pirate, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Nothing to promote. Just happy to be here and on fire.
We're happy for both those things as well.
Yeah, stay out of that. That's a nasty business going on out there.
Lunasar, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I'll just promote the Godot game engine, because I think that's a cool open source tool for people to get into game development. And there was someone in your community that put out a game from a game jam that was kind of fun.
Indeed.
Did you try it out?
I have not tried it out yet. It's on my to-do list, though.
It was fun. I tried it.
It was Smitty.
Yeah, Smitty did that. I think I really should talk to Smitty more about that and how he went about that. So, yeah, but Godot is good stuff.
All right. Breakfast, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Oh, nothing tonight.
All right. And then, of course, you all can watch me on twitch.tv/splicestream. I might be playing Marvel Rivals tomorrow or Path of Exile. I don't know which. It'll depend upon who's available. But yeah, it's fun.
Well, guys,
Ooh, can I say it?
Since we didn't have anything else to do, I think we overleveled. Sorry, he'd already told me to do it.
Oh, okay, I missed that part.